Hey everybody, Michelle here from the Channel 3 newsroom. We have Jessica Arp on scene in Fitchburg where there is a homicide investigation going on. Jess, thanks for taking the time for being here. Can you tell us what's happening? I'm going to go ahead and put up the live stream picture so that people can see. I think the camera is actually on the ground, but let us know what's happening.
When we first arrived on scene, there were officers here. We were told that there may be a person with a gun in this area. Since then, we know that officers did respond to this Yarmouth address for a shooting. There is at least one shooting victim. There could be more.
Do we know anything about about the possible about the victim?
I can tell you, I did with my own eyes see one person removed from the home on a stretcher. That person was, I could not tell you what condition they're in. I could tell you that they were not in a body bag, that they were taken on a stretcher and loaded into an ambulance and taken away.
But it looked like an adult? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, it did look like an adult at this point. It looked like, yeah, it was definitely an adult.
Okay, do you need to get back to the scene? Because we can kind of hang tight here for 10 minutes and I can go over some things with anyone who might be watching on YouTube. If you've got time, we can talk to you, but if you need to go back and get ready for the...
I think I may have a couple of minutes here.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? It's looking like I think I may need to take a phone call.
Okay,
so I'll jump
go do that. Go do that, and if you want to jump back in, that'd be great, or have Valina come back in too if she can do that. So I thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, so if you're joining us on YouTube, that was Jessica Arp. She is one of two reporters out at the scene, and we are following this very developing situation. You're taking a live look right now at the scene. So we know there is one victim that is confirmed, and Jessica Arp said she saw with her own eyes someone coming out on a stretcher, and she said that person was an adult and also looked like that person was injured. So that is kind of the gist of it. We know that there's going to be a briefing at 4:05. Typically those things tend to not always start on time. So we will see if that happens at 4:05, but that is the word that we are getting from authorities. And Jessica said that there are a number of law enforcement agencies out there throughout Dane County, and you can see this is just a static shot, but it is a live look at the neighborhood in Fitchburg. So right now the sheriff, Dave Mahoney, is referring all questions about former Deputy Andy Steele to the Fitchburg Police Department. So we still don't really have an update from on-scene officers. We do know that the reverse 911 call that Fitchburg residents received said that the scene is indeed secure. There is no remaining threat to the community. A lot of people received a reverse 911 call earlier saying that there was an active scene. So that is no longer the case. The scene is secure. No remaining threat, again, to the community. We are also streaming on channel3000.com/live if you would like to see that live feed, not just our Twitter feed and our YouTube accounts, but Valina Jones is out at the scene, and so is Jessica Arp, and we have a live picture as well. This is a live look from the scene itself. Several emergency crews are out, and authorities throughout Dane County are out investigating the scene. This is a tweet from Jessica 2 hours ago saying that people were asked to stay out of the area. Residents who live nearby were asked to stay in their home. They were unsure about what they were dealing with at this time. So you can see kind of the timeline of events on Twitter through Jessica Arp. Her Twitter handle is @news3jessica. But we are waiting on a briefing in probably about 10 minutes, so we will find out more information. But again, we do know that this happened at the home of Deputy Andy Steele. Andy Steele is someone that we had been covering in the news because he was recently diagnosed with ALS, and so A lot of the ice bucket challenges that you've seen in the last week in Dane County have been dedicated to Andy Steele. So,
good? Yep. Okay. At approximately 12:05 this afternoon, Fitchburg Police responded to address here on Yarmouth Greenway for a report of a shooting victim. Upon arrival, we found a female who was shot, is now deceased. She was transported to an area hospital.
Do you expect that you will identify suspect today?
I would sure hope so.
that was a quick briefing from law enforcement officers on the scene at a shooting incident in Fitchburg. What we know is that 2 females are deceased, 2 adult females. So you heard the information as we are hearing that information. What we can tell you is that it appears the suspect of the shooting has been injured and is in the hospital. So here's a picture of officers running to the scene in SWAT gear. So this is all kind of getting to a point where we know kind of what happened. We just don't know who's involved. We know the residents. We know whose residence it was. So again, if you're watching us, this is just a behind-the-scenes look at our newsroom. This is kind of how we're gathering information. It doesn't really take away from the scene itself. I mean, this is not like this is a supplement to all the news that we are able to confirm. This is kind of a news experiment. We like to be on YouTube because we know that a lot of people are on YouTube and they want to be able to talk to us and ask questions and also just kind of see how we gather information. I think we're about ready. So just bear with me for 5 seconds.
Breaking news at this hour, a shooting in Fitchburg leaves 2 people dead.
There was an incident that led to reverse 911 calls to the neighborhood and left many concerned about their own safety. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Live at 5 this Friday. First at 5, 2 women are dead following a shooting in the city of Fitchburg.
It happened just off Highway PD on Yarmouth Greenway, and the investigation continues at this hour. News 3's Jessica Arp has been there all afternoon and has the latest for us. Jessica?
Well, the home that officers is at are just out of our vantage point here, but we'll try to give you the look that we can. We've seen investigators coming in and out of 3038 Yarmouth Greenway. We know tonight that 2 women are dead after a shooting in that home earlier today. Officers say they were called here just after noon for a report dead and say they were initially unsure where the suspect may be. Law enforcement set up a perimeter and used tactical teams to move in on the home where they ultimately found the suspect injured. But the person that you've transported to the hospital, you do believe was the shooter in this case?
We believe that's the suspect in the case. We don't believe that there's anybody else that's involved in the incident that is not accounted for. We do not believe that the public's in any danger at this time.
Now, property records and a source familiar with the investigation confirmed that this is the home of Andy Steele, a retired Dane County deputy who was recently diagnosed with ALS and prominently involved in the local ice bucket challenge events. To be clear, though, we do not know how Steele may have been involved in this incident, and Fitchburg police would not confirm or deny the identity of the suspect that they transported, or either of the women involved, or confirm or deny that this was Steele's residence. They do say that they plan to identify the suspect in this case, the male who was transported to the hospital with injuries. Yet today, Dane County Sheriff Dave Mahoney referred our questions about Steele back to the Fitchburg Police Department.
Jessica, it's been a very stressful and fluid couple of hours for people who live in that neighborhood and probably within a couple block radius of the scene. Are things getting back to normal there?
Well, from where we're at, the street is still blocked off, and we can tell you, as we said, that investigators are still coming in and out of this home. Some of the law enforcement presence that was here initially and was here for about 2.5 or 3 hours has begun to leave the area, but there is still an investigation. We saw investigators who were clothed in white suits coming in and out of a driveway down in that area, but there was a reverse 911 call that went out to folks who live in that area that said it was safe, that the scene had been secured, it was safe to return to normal activities, and that there was no continuing threat in this area. There was one resident from here that drove up while we were standing here. She was escorted to her home on foot, but told that she was not able to drive into here, so it looks like people are able to come and go at this time.
A lot of answers still to come this evening. Jessica Harp, thank you.